Capitol Spotlight. Today, acting Massachusetts Governor Jane Swift announced that she would not run for the office. She took over as acting governor on April of 2001 when Paul Cellucci became U.S. ambassador to Canada. This is almost 20 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am announcing this afternoon my decision to end my campaign for governor. I believe that this is in the best interest of our state, as it will allow the Republican Party's best chances of holding the governor's office in November. For a woman from a small and distant city in North Adams, my motivation has always been to provide the people of Massachusetts with opportunity. Opportunity for an excellent education, opportunity to keep more of their hard-earned money, an opportunity to live in safe and secure neighborhoods. I'll continue to work hard in the coming months to keep those priorities at the forefront as we deal with this fiscal crisis. We should not and we must not place additional burdens on the families of Massachusetts at this challenging time. Serving as governor of this great Commonwealth has been an honor and a privilege, and one for which I'll always be grateful. No more clapping till I get through this. Apparently the advanced staff has already left because there's no water. I want to thank the people of Massachusetts for their support and for their goodwill throughout my entire time over the last 12 years in public office. And this is the hardest part. I also want to express my greatest appreciation to the numerous supporters, staff, and family who've stood by me. Thank you. Thank you all.
Governor, can you tell us when and why you reached this decision?
Within the last 24 hours, I sat down with my husband after having a candid discussion with my political advisors. There are two major things that have changed in the last 5 months since I made this decision. The demands of governing and the need for leadership to lead our state strongly out of this fiscal crisis has increased immensely. And obviously, the political campaign time commitment to run a successful campaign against a well-heeled opponent increased the time necessary on that. From the day that I got into government, and particularly since the birth of my children, I set aside time for family that has always been non-negotiable. With that being said, something had to give, either in governing or in politics, and I believe it's extraordinarily important that we make the right decisions today on taxes, on educational policy that lead our state out of this current fiscal crisis so that we can emerge with a strong and a bright future.
Have you spoken to Mitt Romney, and will you be supporting him?
I have spoken to Mr. Romney, and I've expressed my support to him.
What did you say to him today?
I told him that I had come to a personal decision, and I encouraged him to talk to Patrick Guerrero, who is a terrific Republican, who is a great campaigner, and I certainly believe very strongly in the ticket approach and the co-governorship that served this state very, very well. And I told Mr. Romney he should call Patrick because I'm not sure he could do any better.
And Governor, were you surprised at how difficult this was going to be this morning? You're usually pretty emotionally tough, and does this surprise you a little bit?
This was a tough decision, and I've always been grateful to people, particularly when it wasn't easy, who have stood behind me.
Governor, what do you feel pressure to make this decision at all? Did anyone try to prevail on you?
The only pressure was from the inside. I have never done anything in my life without giving it 100%. And the reality that I'm sure there isn't a working parent in America that hasn't faced it, that when the demands of the two tasks that you take on both increase substantially, something has to give.
Governor, can you share with us what Mr. Romney said to you?
He was very gracious. We'll sit down soon, and I look forward to him being able to continue the progress that has been made and that I'll be fighting for to sustain on Beacon Hill in the next coming months.
Who had said he would not run against you and would give you a free primary run?
No.
Governor Swift, just a few months ago, you were riding fairly high in the polls, and now you've had a precipitous drop. You've often said polls go up and down. You try not to pay much attention. But could you reflect for a moment on what occurred, what happened to you politically, and also could you reflect on what role your gender may or may not have played in that?
I think I'm going to need a lot of time for reflection and a lot more distance from the emotions of the last several months. Perhaps when I'm in an ivory tower, I'll be able to answer that question better.
Has anyone from the Bush administration contacted you, Governor?
No.
Otherwise,
No.
would you take a job with the Bush
No.
administration? Do you have any plans yet, Governor? Have you thought
No.
at all about
I have a lot of plans. I'll be back at the State House tomorrow morning with my armor back on, ready to make sure. Ready to make sure that the excellence that we've gained in public education and the competitiveness that we've gained through good tax and economic policies that are increasingly important as we emerge from a recession remain, have a strong voice, and I'll have more time to be fighting those battles.
Will you encourage your staff to work for Mitt Romney?
I'd encourage everyone to support two-party government in Massachusetts, and I believe that my staff shares my priorities. They share my priorities that the tax and economic policies of the last decade have served our families well, that standards and accountability in education coupled with wise investment has served our families well, and if those are their priorities, then I believe they'll find, as I believe is true, that Mitt Romney is the candidate to carry forward on those issues.
Governor, you have not raised a great deal of money over the last few months. Did that play a part in your decision?
Obviously, this was going to be an uphill battle, and the time commitments to win. And I never would enter a race if I wasn't able to give 100% of the time necessary to win. Whatever the political demands, running against a well-heeled opponent would have greatly increased the commitment. And at the same time, there are many more demands on my time, responsibly so and necessarily so, in government. And having said early on the time with family was non-negotiable, something had to give.
Clearly this was a difficult decision to make, but when you said you made it quickly in the last 24 hours, I mean, you had to have been thinking about it earlier. Is there a sense of relief at this point that you've at least made a decision, or?
I've never walked away from a fight in my life, so that's probably the toughest part of this. Some see that as one of my virtues, some see it as one of my vices, but that was probably the toughest part of this.
Do you feel betrayed at all, Governor? Do you feel betrayed by any members of the Republican Party?
Not at all. That's what elections are about.
Does it bother you that Mitt Romney was prepared to challenge you to take away the governor's
I'm not
nomination?
afraid of elections. I'm not afraid of elections. I've said that. What I am aware of is that it's not in my nature to do something unless I can do it 100% of the time. And my political advisors have done a very good job of outlining for me exactly what those political challenges would be to win and run and to win this race. And I don't have the capacity to increase the number of hours that are in the day or days in the week, to have that occur at the same time that the requirements for governing effectively and fighting for the things that compelled me to enter public service in the first place was sort of, what's that, where's my Harvard guy, a immovable force hits a hard object or something, he knows, ask Crosby.
He did not come to you with a courtesy call saying that he was...
I called Mitt Romney. I reached out to tell him my plans.
Governor Swift, you acknowledged last fall when you announced you were running that you were taking on a crushing variety of burdens. In hindsight, do you think you made a mistake thinking you could do it all, have it all?
No, I think we made a good calculation with the facts available to us. We didn't predict that the fiscal issues would decline as precipitously, that the solutions would be as hard to come by, and we certainly couldn't have predicted that we would have a opponent in a primary with millions of dollars at their disposal, and those are just the realities. I'm a pretty practical, pragmatic, usually unemotional person, and assessing that with sort of the cold eyes of what my life is, it just didn't all fit.
Do you feel you were treated fairly by the news media?
Well, I hope that the news media will continue to offer constructive criticism. As I stand here today, I'm thinner, I'm better dressed, and better made up, and that's all because of you.
Specific that was said during a discussion with your advisors yesterday that tipped you in this direction?
No, it was it's been obvious to everybody in this room, all of you who cover politics, those of you who participate, that we're facing some dramatically difficult decisions that demand leadership in the State House in the coming months, and I was increasingly aware of that reality. At the same time, it's obvious to anyone what the challenges were that were ahead of me politically. I've run in 5 or 6 races. I lose track now. And I've never done anything. Stacy gave me the good words. I've never done less than 100%. I'm not going to use a North Adams expression and blow all of my cover now, but I have never done anything less than 100%. And that was not a difficult evaluation to make. Walking away from a challenge was perhaps the tough thing for me.
Especially make the decision. Was it last night and only with your husband? What?
Janet, let Scott get a question in.
Thank you very much. Governor, your campaign has offered a pretty tough critique of Romney on abortion. Do you think his stand there will be an issue for him?
I think he'll have to take a position on that, and I think there's no doubt in my mind that Mr. Romney understands politics in Massachusetts. I'm a living, breathing example of just how tough it can be.
You would have stayed in the race if Romney had not run?
Yes.
Governor, what do you want to accomplish in your time left as governor, and how would you like to be remembered?
When I leave office, the senior class will be heading into their final semester, and there would be no greater accomplishment than for every single one of those children to have received the basics in English and math that they need to be successful in their lives.
Governor, when did...
Well, you guys keep telling me I'm young.
Governor, I assume you Governor, I assume you had this discussion with your family and your husband before you made this decision. When did you first started talking to them and telling them that you were thinking about doing this?
Well, I talk to my husband every day. I don't know if that's a news flash. In very kind and wonderful terms. I talked to disappointed close family members late last night. Unfortunately, because of the nature of this business and how quickly things happen, some people who I'm very close to will hear about this through the news media.
In your own mind that you should start thinking about doing this and that this was a consideration? Because yesterday you were telling us you would never quit. And
you guys helped me with my acting skills a little bit. Maybe they'll be marketable, Janet. Do you think so? To even entertain making this decision was the most difficult part.
A week ago, a few days ago?
Sometime yesterday. I won't say that there wasn't an increasing reality over the last several weeks of the challenges ahead and a real challenge in keeping that non-negotiable family time set aside. And the decisions didn't become any easier. The challenges didn't become any easier, but perhaps the most difficult moment was the moment that I decided I should consider this. It is outside of my personality to walk away from a challenge. And once I made the decision yesterday afternoon that I should explore this option, you all can do the math. You can do the sort of cold political analysis. The hard part was emotionally deciding to entertain the question. The answer wasn't all that hard in the end.
Last question.
Renee.
Do you feel at all that you've left on the women of the state of Massachusetts, many of whom see you as a role model, especially around work-family pressures? And what do you think the future is for women in high office?
I hope that by giving 100% to the job that I have right now and not taking on two tasks that I couldn't do well will be the best support for other women, whether in politics or in their professional lives, many of whom have been faced with the same difficult decisions. And at some point, as a mother of 3 daughters, I hope I'll have made a difference in what I'm doing today and what I do for the next 8 months, and then I'll have a way to contribute to make it even easier for them in the future. Thank you.
Later in the day, Mitt Romney announced that he would run for Massachusetts governor. He ran for U.S. Senate against Edward Kennedy in 1994 and most recently served as the president of the Salt Lake Olympic Organizing Committee. His announcement is about 10 minutes.